Our top story tonight, one bold prediction for every team in the NFC. We're going to be covering the North, which we all know that the Lions are going to win the NFC North, but we're going to be covering that. We're going to be covering the NFC South, where the Buccaneers have a new wide receiver 3. I told you so. We're going to cover the West, where the 49ers are no lock to win the division, and we will be covering the NFC East, where there could be a new champion with the best roster in all of the NFC. We've got all that and much, much more on Player Profiler today. Starting things up in the NFC North, which we already know the Detroit Lions are going to win. But we do not know who is going to finish as the wide receiver 2 for the Detroit Lions. Jameson Williams is injured. He's going to miss the rest of the preseason. He's going to be suspended for 6 games. He doesn't know the offense, which is why Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to finish as a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy football this year, right behind Justin Jefferson and right behind Jamar Chase, the wide receiver 1. And behind him, the wide receiver 2, in terms of actual wide receivers, is actually going to be Khalif Raymond. Khalif Raymond is the Jameson Williams replacement. He can get it done in the short and intermediate game because he's a punt returner. He just got a contract extension. Khalif Raymond is going to surprise a lot of people when he finishes as the wide receiver 2 in fantasy points for the Detroit Lions. But that just goes to speak how great Amon-Ra St. Brown's opportunity is going to be. And Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have an incredible opportunity as well, because if Khalif Raymond is your wide receiver 2, there's a lot of targets still up for grabs. Most of them are going to Amon-Ra. Jahmyr Gibbs probably going to finish second on the team in terms of actual receptions. But Khalif Raymond is going to have fantasy viable weeks. Just you wait. And speaking of fantasy viable weeks, the Green Bay Packers have a new tight end 1 who should be the tight end 1 of this class, and that is Luke Musgrave. Luke Musgrave was the first tight end to earn a starting job because the Packers, Josiah DeGuara, he just wasn't getting it done. They moved him to fullback. Luke Musgrave, first tight end in this rookie class to earn a starting job. The second was Sam Laporta. As of now, those are the only 2 starters. We expect Michael Mayer to eventually be a starter for the Las Vegas Raiders, but Luke Musgrave is going to finish as the rookie tight end 1. Christian Watson is going to lead this passing game. Luke Musgrave going to be the second option for the Green Bay Packers. Just wait and see. Jordan Love, not going to do too much for the Green Bay Packers in terms of getting them back to the playoffs, but he's going to put up some respectable fantasy numbers. It's going to be a fun team. It's a fun, young team with the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be frustrating at times, but Luke Musgrave, Christian Watson, they are going to at least make it fun. As for the Chicago Bears, one of the funner teams in the NFL with Justin Fields, now with DJ Moore. Justin Fields, not only will he throw for over 3,000 yards, he will throw for over 4,000 yards. He'll be the first quarterback in Chicago Bears history to throw for over 4,000 yards. Justin Fields will be doing a lot less damage with his legs because he won't have to. He has DJ Moore as his wide receiver 1. He has Darnell Mooney, goes from his wide receiver 1 to his wide receiver 2. He has Chase Claypool and Robert Tonyan, who both play kind of a possession slot red zone role with Cole Kmet as the tight end 1. Justin Fields going to be the first Bears quarterback to throw for over 4,000 yards in a season, and it's going to happen in 2023. As for the Minnesota Vikings, we all know Alexander Mattison is the starting running back for the team, but it's not going to stay that way. Alexander Mattison will lose the starting job for the Minnesota Vikings, and he will lose it to Ty Chandler after 6 games. Ty Chandler will end up as the Minnesota Vikings running back 1. Ty Chandler going undrafted in a lot of leagues. At the best, he's going 18th round on Underdog, and even then, that's rare. Tykevius Chandler will be the RB1 for the Minnesota Vikings after 6 games and throughout the rest of the season. Go and get Ty Chandler. But if you want to know more about Ty Chandler and the rest of the players available in the NFL draft, the Podfather has the takes for you.
Hey, it's the Podfather. I have great news. The 2023 draft kit is live. It is world famous. Why? Because it is the best resource for winning fantasy football championships that exists. There are rankings and cheat sheets for every format you can imagine. We have projections both at the team level and the player level. And wherever you are, you can click on a player, open them up, and see in-depth written analysis about what to expect in fantasy football from that player this year. And then you can click on the team, and you can get even more in-depth analysis, all the drivers of fantasy production, both in a positive and negative direction for that team, including a signature trend. And the graphics are incredible. So these team insights, they give you the team level projections, the vacated targets, the vacated areas, and that one dynamic for each team that you need to know when making decisions on draft day. And we added a bunch of features. Individual cheat sheets for Theo and Billy and Dario. So you can take your favorite analyst and download their personal draft cheat sheet. And then in the commissioners section, also brand new this year, Memphis Young lays out everything you need to know to manage a league, do's, don'ts, tips, and what the more innovative fantasy commissioners are doing this year. That's presented by Trophy Smack. The whole package is presented by the Fantasy Football Players Championship, the FFPC, Ray Garvin, Derek Brown, the best minds in the industry contributing analysis. It's certainly not the most inexpensive draft kit on the market, but it is the best. PlayerProfiler.com/draft kit. PlayerProfiler.com/draft kit. Go get it.
Moving on to the NFC South, possibly the worst division in all of football. I'll be competing with the other South team over in the AFC. This is going to be a disaster, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their defenses has degraded over the years. They've gotten worse. Both sides of the football, the offensive line has degraded as well. Defensive line, Shaq Barrett is their top edge rusher coming off an Achilles tear. Secondary has taken some hits over the past couple seasons as well. The Buccaneers are going to be a team that needs to put up points. And because of that, Trey Palmer is going to end the season. Over the final 4 games of the season, Trey Palmer is going to break out. He will be a wide receiver 3. But even before that, Trey Palmer is already a starter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You love to see it. You hate the circumstances that it happened. You hate to see Russell Gage go down for the season, but Trey Palmer is going to be the wide receiver 3 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And over the final 4 games of the season, over the final month, over the fantasy football playoffs, Trey Palmer will be a player that you can put in your wide receiver 3 slot. That is going to be the production you get. Mike Evans is on the decline. Trey Palmer is on the incline. Trey Palmer next year is going to be the wide receiver 2 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Mike Evans is ultimately traded to some other team. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers, though. There's a lot of talk. Is Adam Thielen the wide receiver 1? Is Jonathan Mingo the wide receiver 1? He's clearly past Terrace Marshall. He is playing in 3 wide receiver sets. Is DJ Chark the wide receiver 1? No. The answer is none of them. The true wide receiver 1 for the Carolina Panthers is Hayden Hurst. He will lead the team in targets. He will lead the team in receptions, probably lead the team in touchdowns as well. Might not lead in yards because Hayden Hurst is a tight end, but Hayden Hurst is going to be a sneaky player for the Carolina Panthers in terms of fantasy football, and the rest are really probably going to disappoint. DJ Chark's going to have some spike weeks. Adam Thielen, very much going to disappoint. Also, on the note of the Carolina Panthers, we have seen Miles Sanders deal with a groin injury. We've seen Chuba Hubbard deal with an ankle injury. Don't be surprised when Laviska Shenault ends up as the 3rd running back for the Carolina Panthers. Don't be surprised when he ends up in a hybrid role. And I know we're wish casting here. Everyone wants the Deebo Samuel role, but it's actually going to happen this year with the Carolina Panthers. Deebo Samuel will play some running back, and I cannot wait to see it. Moving over to the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr was brought in because they believe that they are a playoff team, that they're just able to keep this train going. The Saints have a great roster, a very top-heavy roster, but it's still a great roster. It's a strong offensive line with some weaknesses at right guard and left guard, but center's good, left tackle, work in progress. Okay, so it's a degraded offensive line. But Michael Thomas as a wide receiver 2 instead of a wide receiver 1, and Rashid Shaheed as the wide receiver 3. That's pretty good. Jawan Johnson looking to take a step forward. The defense, well, they lost a bunch of the members of the defensive line other than Cameron Jordan, but they've got strong corners. But if anything happens to one of their starting corners, they don't really have the depth. And all of that is why the New Orleans Saints will miss the playoffs. They have gone all in once again, hoping to keep this going instead of just admitting, hey, we tried with Drew Brees. It didn't work out. Let's just rebuild, stop kicking the salary cap can down the road, and just take a year to figure ourselves out. And the Saints didn't do it, and they're going to miss the playoffs. Can't wait. Can't wait for the Saints to once again fail to meet their own expectations because they have just been kicking that salary cap down the road for years and years. And it's finally going to come and bite them. The top heaviness of this roster with all the losses along the offensive line and the defense going to come back to haunt them. And that is why the Falcons are going to make the playoffs. The Atlanta Falcons will make the NFL playoffs, but not the way you expect. Desmond Ridder has been pretty disappointing throughout training camp, throughout the preseason. The accuracy, the touch just isn't there. We saw it last year too. He is not a prolific passer. He's not an extremely accurate passer. He was able to avoid turnovers, but the ball's just not on target. Kyle Pitts having to adjust. Bijan Robinson having to catch it one-handed behind him. Drake London having to make a spectacular catch. Desmond Ridder is not that guy. And he's going to get benched because this Atlanta Falcons team with Arthur Smith, they believe that they can compete. They invested heavily in the defense. They have a star core on the offense. And with Desmond Ridder's inability to hit a receiver in stride, at some point, that's going to cause some problems. At some point, the offense is going to stall out, and that is when Taylor Heineke is going to be inserted into the lineup for the Atlanta Falcons. And Taylor Heineke is going to guide not the Washington Commanders, Freudian slip there, but Taylor Heineke is going to guide the Atlanta Falcons to the NFL playoffs. Moving on to the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals, all the doom and gloom of the Arizona Cardinals. Who's going to be their starting quarterback? Well, surely Kyler Murray. He's going to miss 8 games. He might miss the entire season. The Cardinals are tanking. They might just hold him out. But if we look at recent history, Kyler Murray tore his ACL less than 2 weeks after Joe Burrow did. And Joe Burrow did not miss a game after he tore his ACL. Kyler Murray tore his ACL right around the same time as Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz missed just 1 game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Every time Kyler Murray has talked about his rehab, he has been super coy. He is tongue-in-cheek. Kyler Murray will not miss the entire month of September. I'm giving it 2 games missed for Kyler Murray. Then he's going to return. And then all of those Marquise Brown shares, all of those Michael Wilson shares as the wide receiver 1 and 2 for the Arizona Cardinals, even those Trey McBride and Zach Ertz, one of them is going to hit. Whoever ends up as the starter, or basically, if Trey McBride becomes the new Dallas Goedert to Zach Ertz, either way, Kyler Murray is going to miss way less time than people think. And the Cardinals are going to end up being a pretty nice value in fantasy football, especially because that defense is absolutely wretched. And speaking of wretched defenses, the Los Angeles Rams. The defense is horrible. The team is not very good. The offensive line still has holes. Matthew Stafford is going to be under pressure. And he's also going to be under pressure because the defense is going to be giving up points. And that is why Matthew Stafford will finish as a top 15 fantasy quarterback this year. Matthew Stafford has been left for dead. And maybe he doesn't finish the season. Maybe he doesn't. But I think he's got 1 year left in him. If not, a couple years left in Matthew Stafford. And because of that, And because of the degraded defense, because Cooper Kupp is still the wide receiver one for the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford is going to be a quality quarterback. He's going to be a streamer. He's going to be a must start in Superflex. Matthew Stafford, top 15 season at the quarterback position because the defense is just so horrible. He's going to be slinging it. He is going to be slinging it all over the field. As for the 49ers, this is a team that is not going to have to sling it because, let's face it, the defense is elite. They've got a dominant run game. Kyle Shanahan is going to keep it close. Thanks to the defense, he's going to run the football, take it out of Brock Purdy's hands. But when it is in Brock Purdy's hands, when Brock Purdy is slinging it, the wide receiver one for the San Francisco 49ers this year will be Brandon Ayuk. This is a breakout season for Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel disappointed last year. He dealt with injuries. He held out to start the year. He says he's in great shape. He's sending shirtless pics to Kyle Shanahan. But it doesn't matter because Brandon Ayuk is ready to ascend. Brandon Ayuk is ready to become a full-blown alpha. He is a dominant route runner. He has elite speed. Brandon Ayuk has it all. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver one for the San Francisco 49ers, and he's absolutely going underdrafted right now, which means Deebo Samuel obviously going overdrafted. As for the Seattle Seahawks, because of the 49ers starting Brock Purdy, because of the downgraded offensive line for the San Francisco 49ers, the 49ers aren't winning the NFC West. That will be the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith will keep it running. Improved passing game for the Seattle Seahawks. Jackson Smith and Jigba will help take this offense to new heights. The 49ers, as great as the defense is, they're not going to be able to cover DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and JSN and Kenneth Walker out of the backfield and Noah Fant. Geno Smith, it's not too many mouths to feed. It is too many weapons for the 49ers to contain with an improved defense as well for the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are winning the NFC West, and the San Francisco 49ers are going to disappoint a lot of people in 2023. As for the NFC East, the Washington Commanders are going to have Sam Howell start all 17 games. Not only will the Washington Commanders have Sam Howell start all 17 games, they will have Sam Howell start all 17 games next year. Or at the very least, Sam Howell will enter the season as the starter this year. Sam Howell has a lot of weapons with this Washington Commanders team. Ron Rivera is fighting to keep his job. He's going to be going all out to win every game. It's not going to work. He's going to end up getting fired. Eric Bieniemy is going to become the interim head coach and quite possibly, or quite probably, the head coach for next year. They'll give him a shot. See, hey, if this can work out. And with the Washington Commanders going all in for wins with Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy both trying to win to save their job or get a new job, Sam Howell is going to be the benefactor of that. Sam Howell is going to play pretty well given the weapons that he has. It's going to be a 7-9-ish team for the Washington Commanders. They're going to be out of contention for a quarterback. And so Sam Howell is going to be the starter for the Washington Commanders in 2024. That's the problem of having a not good enough roster and still going for it. You play yourself out of quarterback contention, but Sam Howell is the benefactor, starts the 2024 season for the Washington Commanders. As for the New York Giants, Darius Slayton is the wide receiver one. The alpha of the passing game is obviously Darren Waller. But by all accounts from the New York Giants training camp, Darius Slayton has asserted himself at the top of the depth chart, at the top of the target share from the wide receivers. Paris Campbell getting all the hype. He's taking snaps out of the backfield. But in terms of targets, Daniel Jones is looking to Darren Waller and then Darius Slayton. Isaiah Hodgins seems like he's the one that is most likely to be headed to the bench, even though he is the true X of the New York Giants offense. Everyone else is a slot receiver or a speedster. Seems as though Isaiah Hodgins could be moving to the bench in favor of Jalen Hyatt instead of Darius Slayton being benched for Jalen Hyatt, which is what I originally thought would happen. But now Now it looks like Darius Slayton is the wide receiver 1 for the New York Giants. For the Philadelphia Eagles, this is going to be a dominant team. Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback 1. The defense has gotten slightly worse. It's taken some hits. They lost both their starting safeties, both their starting linebackers. Still have dominant corners, still have a great pass rush, but the Eagles defense got worse, which means more pressure is going to be on Jalen Hurts to put up points, and he is going to do it, but he is not going to do it well enough to win the division. No, the Philadelphia Eagles will not repeat as division champions. That instead will be the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have one of the strongest rosters in the NFL. And that is why the Dallas Cowboys, not only will the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East, but the Dallas Cowboys will be heading to the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott, Super Bowl contending quarterback. That one is going to break the internet when, not if, when the Dallas Cowboys make it to the Super Bowl.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.